let's not be afraid to start ugly. Let's just start, and then we can clean it up as we go. But if we don't start, we're never going to have the opportunity to clean it up.
I don't do things like that. Like, what are you talking about?
What is up, everybody? And welcome back to the Schooling Struggle podcast. It is our belief that the only guarantee in life is that we are all going to struggle, and how we choose to embrace our struggles is what empowers us to become the best versions of ourselves. How's it going? My name is Pete, coming to you from rainy Vermont. With me is my friend and co-host Todd, coming to you from Tacoma, Washington. What is up, Todd?
What is happening, Peter?
Well, I wouldn't call it a minor miracle that we're having a conversation right now, but half of the state of Vermont is underwater, and I have power and internet right now, which is pretty cool.
What?
So we can record. I had some friends who were supposed to come over for a workout today, and I got a text that said, can't come, roads are flooded. And they took pictures of literal roads that were just underwater. And then shortly thereafter, they sent me pictures of themselves and their kids kayaking through their front yard. So it has been raining nonstop up here in Vermont, and I have lots of family and friends that have been texting and calling, just checking in to say, hey, you guys all right? It hurts really bad up there. Yeah, there was
that's atypical in Vermont, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty atypical. Just over 10 years ago, there was a pretty intense storm that flooded out the state, and I think people are kind of having remnants or recurrences of that. So, yeah, we're safe, we're good, but it is nonstop raining up here.
My dog's gonna bark at the Amazon, man. You're gonna have to give. Well, it's not my dog, but you understand.
It is not raining in the Pacific
it has
Northwest
been
right now?
It has been the exact opposite. It has been in the 90s and 80s since the last time I talked to you. It's been unbelievable. It got so hot, in fact, that I installed a ceiling fan in my porch, inside of my porch. Yeah, isn't that nuts?
Yeah, actually, we just got back from 2 weeks in the Pacific Northwest in Oregon, which was awesome, and there was not a lick of or a drop of rain the entire time, which is
even really on the coast. That's amazing because usually you get like
it was really windy, but not a whole lot of rain there. Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, so
you got lucky. You don't usually get that lucky in Oregon.
I know we got really fortunate because we had some cool stuff booked and we were able to do it all. We did dune buggying, we did whitewater rafting. Yeah, we went down to redwoods in California and put our arms not around but against those giant trees. It was fantastic, and my daughter absolutely loved it.
Did she like the dunes? Did you go to Florence?
Yeah,
the sand dunes.
Yeah. It was the dune buggy. It was like it just felt like being on a roller coaster that went off the rails. Like it was, my heart rate was so high. Then he'd slow down, and my heart rate would like come back down, and then he just, I don't know how fast we're going. You know,
you had a driver. You didn't drive it yourself.
No, we didn't drive ourselves. Yeah, we had a driver. He really knew his stuff, but he was not scared to hold back. Yeah.
That's
cool. Great. Yeah.
Nice.
So, episode 60.
60.
It blows my mind. Old. I remember our original plan was to do a half dozen. And if we did 6, we're like, oh, let's see if we can do 12. And then once we did 12, I was like, oh, yeah, we're definitely doing at least 100. And to our family 60. Listeners out there, they are so dedicated. We have not been marketing or trying to grow our audience in any capacity, but just really just enjoying and trying to have fun with this, but also put out a good product with audio, with content. And I just want to thank our family of listeners out there.
Yeah.
And it's just been a really special thing that here we are, episode 60. We don't have any kind of social media platforms that we use to promote the show. We just do the show, and people have been sharing with their friends and family, and it's been growing in cool ways. So that's just awesome. Wanted to, to thank all the listeners out there and to thank you, Mr. Ellis, for an awesome couple episodes.
My pleasure. Thank you. Is it? Are you having fun still?
Oh, I love this. I absolutely love this. I was listening to our last episode with Todd. With Doug and Eli, and I just really, really enjoyed that episode. Just sitting back and listening to it. And they texted me back and they said, "Oh, you did a good job editing that one." And you know what I did? I just edited out 90% of the stuff that I said. It made the episode so much better. I just let them go, and all those useless rambling that I felt I needed to share in the conversation, I just cut my voice out, and the episode was so much better. Yeah. So
wow. How many times do you do that? Like, do you go through it? Typically, you go through and then it's like, get me out of here, and then you.
I realized I asked the same question 3 different ways, and they had to kind of answer the same question over and over and over again. So yeah, it's just kind of honing in on my editing skills for sure, but also like bringing to light how I need to improve as a conversationalist, as an interviewer.
I think you do a great job, but that's good awareness.
The other realization that I wanted to share with you is that I had my birthday earlier this week.
Oh, happy birthday.
Thanks. I turned 45, and you know what I got myself for my birthday gift?
No.
I drove to Walmart and bought my first pair of glasses, my cheaters.
Hey, way to go.
I noticed a year ago that my daughter woke up in the middle of the night sick, and I was trying to read the dosage on her medicine, and I could not read the small text.
Welcome.
And I finally admitted it to myself, and I was like, I'm not going to buy glasses before my 45th birthday. And on my 45th birthday, I went into Walmart, and I bought a pair of 1.75s.
Nice.
And it is my far distance is good. Like I can see forever, but like reading up close, I cannot see to save my life.
How about this?
Do you find yourself glasses?
Yeah, congrats. Way to go. Way to hold out on yourself.
I kind of like Jen's like, oh, you look good in glasses. And I was like, you know what? I'm totally going to embrace this thing and like not run away from it. I'm all good.
Yeah. My wife told me I look sophisticated, and I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get the ones that click in the middle anywhere around because I always leave them somewhere else. And I'm like, where are those glasses? Because I don't use them enough. So this was going to be my question to you is if you read, like, let's say you're reading something up close and you have them on, do you find yourself like putting them down in your nose and then you're looking through them at distance and you're like, I don't need these for distance. Take those off.
Oh, I can't see, like the way that mine are set up, I can't see for distance at all with them on. So like only when I'm reading, and if I'm reading small text.
Well, mine is the same way, but then I find myself looking like mid distance with them on. I'm like, why do I still have these on? This is ridiculous.
Oh yeah, it hurts for me to even look like beyond 18 inches. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, crazy. And then the other quick thing I want to share with you pertaining to my birthday was on my birthday we got home the day before my birthday from Oregon. We were gone for 3 weeks total. And my lawn was, up to my hips, and I jumped on my mower, and the mower just broke again. And I put so much money and time into this mower. In my frustration, I went against what I knew I should do, and I jumped in my truck and drove straight to the lawnmower dealer. Yes. And I said, "What are my options?" And I bought I bought an Exmark Radius E series, which is like a commercial grade lawnmower, and I spent way too much on it.
Like a Cub Cadet, same kind of idea.
Yeah, bigger. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And I bought it, and the guy's like, all right, you're all set. I said, all right, how much is it for you to bring it to my house? And they're like, well, you just bought this in New Hampshire. If we bring it to your house in Vermont, we're going to have to charge you Vermont tax, which is going to be another $1,000. And I was like, oh, I got to be able to get this thing home on my own. So I called one of my students. He was on vacation. I called one of my other students, and I said, yo, it's Mr. D. I was wondering if you could hook me up with a favor. He's like, Mr. D, I'll do anything for you. Like, I'll meet you at the store at 3:30. He showed up today. Big love to my boy Murph. Thank you so much, Murph. Murphy Construction. Threw my lawnmower in the back of his trailer and drove it to my house. I'm just so grateful. I always talk about how much I love teaching, and this is like the spillover effect. I say my students do for me more than I'll ever do for them, and I'm just super grateful. So big love, Murph. Thanks, brother.
Huh, nice work.
That's
awesome. The same guy that helped you with your front yard, isn't it?
No, he was the first one that I called, but he's in Iceland this week, Logan.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
So in preparing for tonight's episode, I like to always start with where I think you and I might currently be, what we're ruminating on, what we're thinking, what we're experiencing in the moment, because I think those ideas are fresh and they're just exciting. And throughout my trip to Oregon, and since I've been home, you and I have been, as we always do, corresponding via text. You share with me the Daily Calm, which is amazing. You sent me a bunch of quotes, some from Brene Brown. And one that you shared with me this week that I wanted to kind of center our discussion, our conversation around tonight, was a simple text, and it said this: we cannot outrun the things we hold on to. Take stock of what luggage our life contains, and then respond accordingly. So before tonight, I texted you and said, hey, this is going to be the focus of our show. And you said, I have a learning to share about delegation and letting go of things. Seems to speak to me right now. So that was where I wanted to start tonight. We cannot outrun the things we hold on to. Take stock of what luggage our life contains, then respond accordingly. I didn't know if that came from the journaling. I just thought it might be neat for you to just share what has transpired since that conversation with Dr. Slam as far as your journaling goes, and then we can dig into
let me weave a tapestry. How about that? So
please weave away.
Yeah, so we cannot outrun the things we hold on to. Take stock of what luggage our life contains and then respond accordingly. So this goes to the point of, and I've said this, we've discussed this on multiple occasions. My wife has 2 dogs. I used to have a dog, and the dog hair drove me nuts. So I was talking to a previous coworker of mine about the dog hair situation and how it was, because we got a new black lab, Lucy, and she has longer hair than the first black lab, which set me off. And now it's just like I'm constantly sweeping, I'm constantly vacuum cleaning. I just don't like dirt all over the floor. And she said, well, they make things that can help you with that. And I said, like, what? Like, what's going to save my time? And she's like, sends me this link to this. It's called Roborock. So it's like a Roomba. It's like an automatic vacuum cleaner. And I'm like, I don't do things like that. Like, what are you talking about? So she's like, it'll change your life. And it seems like you're highly stressed about this thing. And I'm like, okay, well, whatever. So I get on there and I'm looking, and she's like, how about this one? So we're going through it. And I'm like, really? Is this really happening? So I select one, and 2 days later it comes in Amazon. I plug this thing in, let it get all charged up, and I just set it free one night. I'm like, just go do whatever you do. It's not gonna work. I'm like, this is garbage, right? That thing comes back at docks. I come find it in the morning, and it's completely full of dog hair. And I start looking around. I'm like, no way. Like I didn't have to do anything. Like I just set this thing free, and it cleaned my entire house. And I'm like, wow. And so of course then I'm like, too good to be true. So I go the next day, and then I'm running schedules, and this thing's mapping my house. Like it has an app that goes with it, and it's ridiculous. And this thing was only like $300. And that's where it came from. It was like I had held on to this notion of I'm going to have to fight this thing for the rest of my life. And I started, and this happened before, but I didn't realize how bad it was. Like I actually started, what's the word? Like holding it against my wife. Like, I don't know I can't think of the term in my head right now, but
like creating resentment.
Yeah, I was resentful because you got these dogs, and then because you can hear in the way I talk, my wife has these dogs. Like suddenly, I'm blaming my wife for like my problem with this dog hair, right? And then that builds, and then I would find myself talking. This is where it goes to the journaling. I would find myself talking about these dogs. Like I would be journaling, like, oh, I got these dogs and blah blah blah, because it's just stream of consciousness. Like whatever comes to mind, you just write it down, and that's what Bill had taught had mentioned in that episode he was talking about.
And you were not doing that. You were not doing that prior to the episode.
No,
he just recommended, hey, try this thing. And
yeah,
the text,
I had tried it.
For the listeners out there, the text that you were sharing with Bill and I, like, holy crap, like there's a lot of stuff flowing out of my brain and a lot of ink flowing out of my pen.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, because at first I was like, I tried to do it a long time ago. So I've tried to do journaling before. I think we talked about this, and it's hit or miss with me. Like either I get up or I forget about it, or I'll do it for a couple of days, and then it just seems silly. Like whatever, like that's silly, whatever. And I actually had a conversation with Bill about Wild Bill Slamming about the like there's a level for me, and he shared that this happened to him too, of shame. Like, what happens if somebody finds my crazy scribblings? And like, I found myself like hiding my journal. I'm like, what am I doing? But the things that I put in there, like if somebody happened across that, my wife would be like, uh-oh, it's time to get some medical help. And most of it starts off with these dogs. And I'm like, okay, so, right. It's like, after, I don't know. So you can imagine that would go, but he's like, yeah, I went through that too. And he's like, it's a good thing you have that awareness, because then you can begin to set up boundaries about it. So he shared with me that he told his family, and they have an agreement, like this is my personal stuff, like don't go nosing through my trash, right? Like stay away from it, and the soft bounds. So I likewise I set up looser than maybe that, but I still feel silly sometimes. But yeah. So as I was thinking about the resentment I was carrying, and as I was thinking about how silly that is, like all of these things that and we've talked about this before too, all these things that I hope to be better at, and that's the one that's going to take me out. Like, it just seems ridiculous. So now every night before I go to bed, I move the chairs out from the edge, and I like sleep behind the doors, things where, this robot machine doesn't have arms, right? So it can't close the doors. So I'm like, it takes me like 2.5 minutes to move all the stuff out of the way. I go to bed and I hit play, and I wake up and the house is completely clean. And the wife is like, this is bizarre, because it still takes you time to do it, but that doesn't even piss you off. And I'm like, that takes like 2 minutes of my time to put things away just so the robot could do its work while I'm away. Oh, it's been so profound for me. And we were having a conversation about it last night. I was like, do you know the amount of stress that this robot vacuum cleaner has saved me? And she's like, you've been such a different person. So yeah, that was the learning of the, you have to but that was the thing, is like I was aware that it was irritating me, but I didn't have an avenue to let it go. Like I would still be irritated if I had to sleep and vacuum all the time, right? But because one of my friends was like, "Hey, why don't you try this thing?" And I was just, it blew my mind. I never thought about that. And I would be like, I'm not the type of person that has a robot vacuum, but now I'm like, I'm gonna have a robot vacuum for the rest of my life. So it's fantastic. But yeah, that was my learning.
The irony is how often we talk about our dependency on devices or
Oh,
modern luxuries, right? And we're
yeah.
like, hey, we
Well,
need to get back to like living without that. And then you're like, no way. Like,
let me tell you
I,
what, for the amount of savings it has had for me, like, oh man, it's been great. And then, like, she'll spill something or the other day she moved the dog kennels. They're behind me are these two dog kennels, one's small, one's big. And we moved them when the grandkids came, and there was like, they sit in these kennels and there's hair around it. I was like, oh, no problem. I pull up my app and I was like, hey, come over here. And here comes the robot. Da, 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 just vacuums the whole thing. I didn't have to do a damn thing. It was so
that's
great.
so funny.
And she thinks I'm over the top,
Funny.
which of course I am. But yeah, it's really cool. It's changed my life.
So on Friday nights in our family, we do Friday night movie night, and the three of us sit down and watch a movie, and the picks rotate. So I pick, LJ picks, Jen picks, I pick,
Nice.
LJ picks, and we just go. And this week was my pick, and I chose Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. And I have not watched that movie since probably it came out, and it came out in 1989.
Yeah.
So I was 11. And watching that movie was really fascinating because a lot of the one of the main characters, the dad, he's an inventor, and a lot of the stuff that was like outlandish back in '89 is now normal for us. I mean, an example is the kid and the dad have a lawnmower that runs on a remote control, which was like unheard of in 1989, right? But every week, the guy comes to line the fields at my school, and what used to take 8 people 8 hours to do, where they put the string out and the pins, and then they walk the chalk. This guy does with a robot in 4 hours by himself. And all he does is he just programs in JV soccer field, and it makes the JV soccer field, varsity football field, and it makes it, and he just watches it to make sure it doesn't go haywire, and he fills it up with paint so that was a really kind of interesting thing. It's like in my lifetime, stuff that was once a crazy outlandish idea is now just the norm.
Yeah.
Right. And then the other response I had to what you shared is similar. When I met Jen, she had a cat, and she was just in love with this cat, and the cat was taken away from its mom a little too early, so it just had this like unhealthy attachment with Jen. Jen used to walk when she first got it. It was this tiny little thing could fit in her hand, and she'd walk around with it in the pocket of her hooded sweatshirt. And Jen and this cat just had a crazy, crazy bond. And I've never been a cat person. I actually thought that I wouldn't date her because of this cat. Long story short, I did, and I married her, and we had this cat, and LJ came along. She fell in love with the cat. The cat passed away last summer.
That's right.
And I was like, good. Like, we're not going to have a cat now. It's going to be so nice. The stress. So, like, you talk about the dog hair. The stress for me was don't let the cat out. Every time my hands are full with groceries or wood in the winter. And it's like, don't let the cat out. And I'm like slamming the door and dropping wood on my feet and like swearing because like I'm so frustrated that. So I said it really, really soft heart. Jen was heartbroken. She caught me in a weak moment. I was like, hey, if you want a cat, get a cat. My only request and compromise is the outdoor cats. So if the door goes open and it runs outside, it's okay. It's not the end of the world. So she goes to get a cat, and she comes home with 2. So now we have 2 cats. And the cats are outdoor cats, which is great, but they're kittens and they claw everything. So we spent a good amount of money on all these different like scratching posts and cardboard things and all these, and they don't scratch on any of that stuff. They scratch on the couch. And then I live in a log home. We have a really cool, like big staircase with logs, and it just scratches the wood on the logs. And it drives me nuts because it's like shredding the logs. So before we went to Oregon,
I'm looking in the mirror.
and it's like, I absolutely love my wife and my daughter, but I don't. And so they had their first birthday, and my daughter had a birthday party for them, and she asked me to write a card to them. And I wrote the card, "Dear cats, Mommy and LJ love you very much, Pete." So my wife and my daughter know that I'm not a fan of these cats, and on top of that, like the fact that they're costing us money by ruining furniture and like ruining the house, like it destroys me. Anyway, right before we left for Oregon, I was like, I do not want them to rip this house apart while we're gone. So I took all the things that we bought for their scratching stuff, and I taped them and roped them in front of the places where they scratch, and they did not touch the furniture or the banister or the steps the entire time we were gone. And now they're just scratching the scratching stuff.
Hey,
And
nice
I just
work.
feel so much better. Like I'll walk past the things, and there's this shredded cardboard in front of the logs. The cat did not touch the logs; it just shredded what it should be, the little scratching cardboard thing.
Uh-huh.
And I am so much happier. And like when I walk by and I see shredded cardboard on the floor, I'm so happy to just like sweep it up, be like, "Yep, it's not ruining the logs, it's not ruining the banister, and
What
it's not
do
ruining the couch."
you congratulate
So
yourself?
nice. No, I
It's like,
am
good job,
congratulating
Peter.
myself.
Good job.
I'm just, I'm just happy.
Oh man.
Just happy.
If you find that there's too much cardboard on the floor, I could send over a robot and sweep that right up. Oh man.
That's crazy.
It's the small things, it's the little things.
It's,
That's so funny.
it's those
Yeah.
little
Yeah. And
things.
you probably never thought that was going to work. You were probably the whole time you were away, you're like, they're destroying my
They're
house.
destroying
No.
the house. Yeah. Can we just leave them outside for 3 weeks? And if we're there when we get back, it was meant to be.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And I've been trying to think since you shared that correspondence with me, we cannot outrun the things we hold on to, take stock of what luggage our life contains, and then respond accordingly. So I've been thinking about that and how it applies to my life. And I think one of the topics that's ruminating in my brain, it's funny that I brought up my birthday and the glasses, is that the aging piece. And for me, it's not so much that I'm losing my sight or that my hair is gray or that my fitness is harder to maintain. What I'm struggling with, and I'm interested to talk to you about this because you've lost both of your parents in the last year,
because I'm old. Is that what you're saying?
is the aging of my parents. And I know,
Yeah.
I love my parents to death, and they're awesome. And I haven't had a better relationship at any point in my life with them than I have right now. And my mom listens to this podcast.
Sweet.
I mean, she alone is probably 75% of the total listens of
She
that we
got on
have. She
repeat.
listens to each episode multiple times. And I just spent a week with them down at the beach house, and just it's something that is kind of starting to become real.
Yeah.
And the aging, so like I'm at this phase of my life right now where I have both my parents are still here, which I'm incredibly blessed about, but they're certainly aging and they're able to do less things than they could back in the day. And then I also have my daughter who, you just think that your kid's going to be a kid forever. And, she's
Yeah.
still just 8 and going into 3rd grade, but it's like, I swear, like a blink of an eye ago,
Yep.
she was 6 months old. And like, I just been thinking a lot, like the aging of my daughter, the aging of myself, and the aging of my parents, and how I'm navigating that. And I feel like I'm doing a decent job, but it's just like, I don't know. It's just like a train with a whole lot of momentum, and can't slow it down. So like, don't slow it down. Just hop on the train and enjoy the ride, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And a big part of who I am and what I try to do is to try to let the people around me that I hold most dear know how much I love them. And I feel like I'm doing a good job of that, but I feel like there's more I could and should be doing, but I don't know what that is. So I don't know. I guess I'd be curious your perspective on that as someone who has gone through the tough storm of losing both parents in a short amount of time. And if you were to look back on when they were here, or you were to, I don't know, I don't want to say give me advice, but what is your perspective on all that I just shared?
Yeah, that's interesting. I think a lot of things. I think that we had I don't know if you call it a wake or a party for both my parents at a place that's very near to my original home, where I'm not very far from now, but where we were raised. And so it was both my sisters, myself, and then the lady who was hosting it was best friends with my grandma. So she's like almost 100. And it was at her house. So it was very surreal going there, seeing all of my parents' friends and all of the people that I had like been raised with, like through the years, all the way up to my grandma's best friend. And her name's Jean. And I was asking Jean when I got there, it really wasn't a question, but I was like, wow, isn't that surreal that we're meeting here around the death of my parents, and all of the people that you've seen come and go, you're the last one standing. like legitimately, of all of the people, you're the one, right? And she told me, she said, it doesn't really matter who's standing at the end. It matters only the memories you bring with you that were created along the way. And it's cliche, but when you were talking about it, I thought, does it really matter that it slows down or it speeds up? Or like, what's your, and I'm intentionally using this word, what's your expectation there? Like when you see yourself and you're like, ooh, I'm at this point, you see LJ, she's way back there. And then you see your parents at the front of the train. Isn't do you feel like it's that we're all on the same train, that's the best part? Or do you feel like when cars start to become uncoupled, that you don't know what you're going to do? Is that more of
Yeah,
it?
yeah, I think it's more of that. Like, I feel like I have a pretty good handle on the fact that, obviously I have no control over time. I think that the best way that we can navigate that is to live in the present moment.
Yeah.
And I've shared in past episodes, you know this about me, but for me, true living is to, live, love, learn, and lead with a strong body, healthy mind, and a grateful spirit. So if I'm doing that, like I'm doing what I could and should be doing
Yeah.
to live a life of purpose and fulfillment. I do believe that, but I think, um, yeah, knowing that at some point that train's going to start to come apart, and I'm
Mhm.
appreciating it now that the train's together, and I'm trying to recognize it now that the train's together. But I guess, like, how can I live at my best to appreciate and take in everything while the train is together? And I think what's interesting is last summer I turned 44, and I was like, all right, I'm halfway to 88. Like, there's a good chance I might make it to 88. And then this summer, it's like few people make it to 90, right? So I'm halfway to 90, and it's like, that's been such an awesome 45 years. And if I live another 45 as good as these 45, like, fulfilled life, I'm good to go. I couldn't ask for anything more. But it's like, holy crap. Like, I, if I'm, if everything goes great, I'm halfway,
Yeah.
which kind of hit me like, whoa, that's kind of
I'm
weird.
halfway. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember my uncle was telling me when I was taking care of my mom, he's like, well, what did he say? Oh, it was a church reference. He said, well, we're in the front pew. And I thought to myself, what the hell does that mean? And then I thought, oh, you're next in line, right? And I thought that to myself. And then I remember going home and I was thinking to myself, well, how old is my uncle? And I was like, well, he's 67. And I was like, that's only 20 years. like until I'm in the front of the line, like, oh my God,
Yeah.
like that's like coming real quick. And so the realization that I have, and I keep having, and I'm having with increasing frequency, is um, that fan I was telling you about that I put on the back porch. My dad
Yeah.
has had this wonky Craftsman metal stool that's probably, I don't know, maybe 2.5 feet tall, and I had that thing my entire life, and I've stood on that thing probably 1,000 times. I got up to pull the chain because it was too short on the fan, and it wobbled, and I caught myself, and I was like, "Holy!" Like this is how it's going to start. Like I'm losing my
Mm,
balance. I climbed up on the roof the other day, and I put my foot on the ladder. I was like, "Here's another one." So you become like slowly cognizant of your age, but I think the most important part, or what I'm trying to do, is I'm trying to counteract my loss, or counterbalance it, right? Like, oh, I know I can definitely work on my balance instead of going to run a half marathon. Like I should be working on agility because this is the thing that's going to carry me through, right? Like when I slip and fall, that's how most people go down, right?
yep.
So now I'm thinking about that in my mind, and then I'm
Yep.
thinking, in the contrast to my parents, like I remember thinking to my dad before he died, I remember asking him, like, he's like, he could barely get up out of a chair. Like, just stand with your own, just to get out of a stationary chair. And I was like, oh, here, just do these squats, just start here and, work your way down, whatever. And he never started doing it. And I thought to myself, but why wouldn't you? Like, would I do that? And I think there's a point where you're just like, I've been thinking this thought too long that I'm going to fall off this chair, that these squats aren't going to make a difference. And I think that's the dangerous point. When you start to see that part degrade, or you feel that part of yourself degrade, and you don't feel like you should do anything about it. I think that's where the problem lies, or where, like, that's where
Yeah.
the train starts to wobble on the track, right? Because you're like,
Yeah.
oh, I can see it happening. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's where, for me, I have a hard time because, like, I've done, especially in the last like 6 months, I've done a lot of looking into what do I need to do now to live a life of vitality, like,
Hmm.
so I can do what I want to do when I'm 80 and 90,
Yeah.
and what should I be eating, sleep. I've learned a lot, and maybe we should make it its own episode. All the stuff that I've learned, I'd be really
Yeah.
excited to share. But I had a moment on vacation. So we went to Oregon for 2 weeks, and then we went to Connecticut, which is where my family all gathers in the summer. And I don't see a lot of those family members
Hmm.
unless I'm down there for July 4th. And my dad in his 30s and 40s was like known as like the man down there, because my dad literally would put on a mask and a snorkel and swim off the shore. And a half an hour later, he come back with 6 to 10 lobsters in a lobster bag, and he would just
Nice.
reach into holes and just grab lobsters and pull them out of holes. And if he
Huh.
couldn't grab them, he'd put his hand out and they'd bite his hand with his claw, and he'd pull his hand back, and then he'd get it. And he was just like, he was legendary. Like, my dad was like, everyone knew, oh, Pete's dad's the guy that goes out and catches lobsters. Like, nobody's
Lobster
dad
man.
did that. Yeah, he was the man. And this this week he was out swimming, and my dad's 77, so to have him out swimming in the ocean was a real blessing. It was awesome just to watch him get out there and do his thing. He wasn't hunting for lobsters anymore. He's just masking snorkels, checking out. And he swam to the shore, and he had a real trouble like standing up in like the soft sand with the waves. So he crawled up on all fours up onto the beach, and he still had trouble getting up. And my nephew, who's 7, walked over to him and gave him a hand and helped him up. And both my brother and I watched this as my brother's son. We watched this unfold, and we're like, that is like officially like the new era, right? Is like the grandkid now helping the grandparent up instead of the grandparent helping the young kid up.
Oh, wow.
Right.
Switch.
And then like later that night we went out to eat, and we left all 3 of our kids with my parents. Is it like, are our kids now that are 8 and 7 now watching our parents, or are our parents watching the kids? Like, who's more functionally able to call 911 if something happens?
Yeah, right.
You know? And it was almost like a changing of the guards to see my nephew help my father that way. It's like, okay, like that's, and I've just been kind of ruminating on that and thinking about that. And I guess you could call it luggage, but that's kind of what I'm thinking. And I try to spend a lot of time and energy focus on what it is I have control over. Like, and I don't have control over time and my age, but I do have control over like how I take care of myself and how I love the people around me. And I guess like, how can I do that better? I love your analogy with the train. Like, how can I be making sure that I'm getting to all of those cars and spending quality time and conversations and sharing with each of those people how much I love them before at some point those cars are no longer attached to the train that I'm on.
Yeah. Or yes, and which ones aren't as important, right? Like, I don't need to visit the bathroom car all the time. I can just go right through that one to the kid car. You know, like, it's not a big deal. Like, I'm fine with that one being the way it is, right? So
I think as I get older, I need to visit the bathroom.
I picked the wrong analogy, but yeah. That's
or your reluctance as you get older to like take on more cars, like in like new friendships and things, when you really just you're doing everything, hanging on for dear life to keep the cards that you already have on the train.
Yeah, my grandmother had a stroke when I was, I don't know, 18, 19, 20, something like that. And I knew something was off with her. And I tried to call my dad and articulate like something's wrong with Granny. And he was like, what do you mean? And I was like, there's something wrong. Like, something's different. Like, I'm over here all the time, and today something's different. Like, I couldn't place like how it was different. And she had a pacemaker, so there was always like a underlying health thing. But I realized later that was the day she had the first stroke. And then after that, she was never the same. And so I wondered, like, do you teach your kids? Here's being as out who's watching who, like, here's the things you should be looking out for, or here's what to do in a situation, right? Because that may come up. And I think that's one more thing that you can do in that way, to be like, we're passing off the guard, right? Like, you got to be looking for this stuff.
The answer to your question is no.
Yeah.
But should I? Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how you look for a stroke, but I mean, it's just those kind of like having a conversation, like, hey, by the way, if you're there, and here's what maybe you should be thinking about doing.
Yeah.
I don't know. But,
the luggage we hold on to. It's funny that you say luggage and I can't put the train analogy.
Yeah, right. Yeah. There's a lot of my neighbor just got home. He's unpacking his car. Like, I'm watching all these things happen. Weird. Yeah.
And then to finish out tonight, I just want to bring this up, and we don't have to dive deep into this, but I just thought it was really articulate of you and a really cool thought process. And I'm just going to read another text that you shared to me from earlier this week. And it's awesome. This is something that I love about you, is when I respond to what you write, you're like, oh yeah, like it seems like this like super deep, profound, like euphoric thought to me. And then I'll respond to you like a day or two later about that thing. And you're like, oh yeah, that's just a fleeting thought. I was like, oh, okay. And speaking of which, my one of my brother's business partners is really challenged by neurodiversity and the ADHD thing. And when my brother listened to our podcast and said he was dying laughing because his partner sends fragmented texts.
Oh,
he's like Todd is just like my business partner. Like he wants to make 11 points, and it's in 24 different texts, just one after another. And then we were taking screenshots of each other's texts, yours to me and his to his buddy, and we were comparing. So he's like, I wonder if that's a neurodiversity thing, if that's like part of the way their brain works. Yeah. Thought that was interesting. So speaking of your text, you have
are you gonna count them again?
Talking about one of the things that you talked to Slammin about and that you've been writing about is dealing with irritations. And you said if we as humans if we're able to harness the default of nature to create a different environment for ourselves, how might we do that? How would we harness the internal thoughts occurring that we might, how might we harness the internal thoughts occurring to do the same? And then you have water runs, so that's hydrokinetic power. You have sun shines, that's solar power. You have fire burns, so that's fueled power, steam as an output, as an example. You have wind blows, that's wind energy. And then you have thoughts occur. And what does that equate to in kind of the natural realm? I thought that was a really insightful thought. And that all came from you? That wasn't something you read?
No, that was
Yeah.
I opened my eyes after meditating. I was like, all these other things are just static, right? Because I opened my eyes and the wind's blowing the trees, and
Yeah.
I'm like, you don't get to, we don't impact the wind, and the wind isn't like as far as I know, nothing is controlling the wind. It's just an element of nature, right? And then I'm started
Yeah.
thinking like, the water always runs, like it's going to run from the top of the mountain to the lowest point. And we've figured out ways to like harness all these things, but how come? And maybe we have, but maybe I just don't know. But like all it seems to me like my mind is always just running, and it seems to me like, why can't there be a better way, or why can't I know a better way that like to assemble those thoughts, or to use those thoughts for something that's simple? Like it just seems simple to me. Like the wind just blows. Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
it does. Right? I don't know. So that was my thought was.
Yeah. My thought was, right, if water can be converted to hydrokinetic power, and sun can be solar power, and fire can be steam power, and wind can be wind power, I think our human thoughts should equate to human action power. Like, how can I take my thoughts
Yeah.
and make the world a better place than if I wasn't here? And yeah, I know that's not completely in line with what you were thinking, but for
Yeah.
me, it's like, I have these thoughts. Should I do anything with them? Maybe, maybe not. Can I do anything with them? Maybe. If that is the case, what do I want to do with them? And I hope that my thoughts can help leave the world a better place with the fact that I was here for
Yeah,
my
but
45 or my 90
yeah.
years or whatever.
I thought about that, but I was thinking to myself, but that takes like and I mean that might be part of the human condition. That takes a concerted effort. Like I have to make a recipe of things in order to get my thoughts to do something, right? Like
Yeah.
either I have to add intention, or I have to add, or maybe reluctance to do that. Like there's always some other things in the mixing pot, right? And I'm not saying like, well, wouldn't it be great if I could put a dam in my brain and create energy? I just feel like if everybody was thinking similarly on one thing, like how could I don't know. It's very abstract, but I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah. I think,
I like where you're going with that, because it's
well,
true. You have to add action to it in order to do something with it, right?
yeah, I don't like, there's schools of thought that say, well, thoughts are just thoughts and we don't put a lot of credence in them. We just kind of let them go and let them flutter and sit with that and be okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then, there's the thoughts equate to action. Action equates to fate or destiny, those types of things. So yeah, it's interesting stuff to think about.
Yeah. It was
Cool.
interesting to think about for about 40 minutes while I was composing that mail. Then I was like, okay, next.
So have you been continuing to journal?
Yeah, I journal almost every day. I can't say I've had 100%, but I've added it to my routine now. So it's I get up and I sit in the hot tub, and then I do mindfulness, and then I journal. And now most time I work out in there too, but physical exertion, mindfulness, and then school. And so I've been moving those together. So I put it right between physical education and mindfulness. I'll just start scratching 3 pages out, and then I find myself like coming up with crazy ideas, or like crazy realizations or insights while I'm meditating over the things that I wrote. But it's not like I'm ruminating; it just like pops in there, and like, whoa, it's almost like the answer just appears to things, and I'm like, well, that's interesting. And then when I get to school, I'm like, well, check this out. So yeah, it's pretty cool, but it's hard. It's hard at first. So if you don't do it, start with just a page. It doesn't have to be 3, but
start with a sentence.
It's just a flow of consciousness,
Yeah.
and just don't be afraid to throttle yourself. I mean, to take the throttle off. Just write whatever comes to your mind, and it's not going to make sense at all. But when you look back at it, you're like, oh, I can see how there's some themes and links in here.
I was doing some research on some stuff last night pertaining to some of the stuff I'm interested in, and the term "start ugly" came up, and then it was, oftentimes we think it has to be pretty or it has to be well. And this was talking about a fitness plan, and it said, don't be afraid to like do this. Do it with really light weights so you don't hurt yourself. But if your form is not great, don't be afraid to start ugly. And I think that that's a really good paradigm to carry forth in all aspects of our life. Like, let's not be afraid to start ugly. Let's just start, and then we can clean it up as we go. But if we don't start, we're never going to have the opportunity to clean it up.
Especially with perfectionists, that's always a problem. Like, it's almost perfect, but you're never going to release it. That's the problem. It's like you just got to get one out there. They say that in software all the time.
Like you had an ugly floor in your house, and then you got this robot, and now it's not ugly anymore.
No, it's not.
It's pretty.
They even make one that mops and sweeps and like empties itself. And I was like, that's way too far. Like, I'll still just do the regular work.
Awesome.
Yep.
So good to come back from 3 weeks away and have a great conversation with you. Time flies.
Absolutely.
So good. To all the listeners out there, schoolingstruggle@gmail.com. Don't be afraid to send us an email about anything that you want us to talk about. If you have people in your life that you know that would be awesome guests to bring on, recommend, and we'll reach out to them. I love having conversations with people about stuff.
Yeah.
And
also on the Spotify platform, that you can leave voice messages too. So if typing's not your jam, you can just speak it right into the phone.
And there you go.
Yeah.
Episode 60. Thank you so much to all our family of listeners. It's so cool to do this each week and to get your feedback and to get your thoughts and to get your correspondence. So schoolingstruggle@gmail.com. With that said, we so very much appreciate your ears. We thank you for your time. We are grateful for your attention. We are the Schooling Struggle Podcast, and we are out.
See ya.